Thank you, everyone. And I neglected to reintroduce myself when I did my joys and concerns. I'm Chaplain Dave Becker. I use he, his pronouns, and you can call me Chaplain Dave or Pastor Dave or just Dave is fine. Some folks use Mr. Dave, that's okay too. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. That's true for each of us, that we're all, each and every one of us, always making a difference, and individually and collectively, we decide what kind of difference we want to make. We know in our faith that we consider each person and all of life sacred, and that makes our choices sacred as well. The acts and the choices, the actions we take and the choices we make are sacred, and those choices are the work that we do to make a better world. There are choices we make about our faith. This faith is, the Unitarian Universalist faith is often referred to as a chosen faith. It's a faith that we freely choose, and one that we continue to choose again and again, and it changes over time as our choices change and as our faith changes and develops. Some of you were here in the fall where we did a listening session together around worship, and we did that post-service. Today we're going to actually do a similar type of listening session around faith exploration, but we're going to do it actually in the service, as part of the service. You've heard me say before that ministry is larger than the minister, and that we are all ministers. And part of that means we're teaching and learning from each other all of the time. And so today, part of our ministry will be teaching and learning from each other around our faith exploration and the role that it has in our life, a chance to hear from each other a little bit. So when you came in, you got a card like this, and if you thought, ooh, this is bigger than what we typically use for fire communion, we're not setting this on fire, but this is something that you'll need for notes. Is there anybody who didn't get one that still needs one? So let me, would you grab those? Yeah. And so you'll need a card to make notes on. And this isn't something that you're going to hand in. This is just to collect your own thoughts. So it's not, nobody's going to see this but you. And something to write with. You may have gotten a color pencil, or if you didn't, you may have a pen or pencil with you. Is there anybody who needs something to write with and needs one of the colored pencils? Okay, so oh, yours broke? So we have a couple folks that need colored pencils. If Alan and our ushers and anybody who's available could bring pencils to folks that have their hands raised. There's a couple more coming, yeah. Anyone else, if you still need one, keep your hand up. Everybody's got what they need, a note card and something to write with. And so there's a couple of steps to this. This is going to be a little bit of a reflection before we do any sharing. So the first step of the reflection is just thinking about the types of things that you do, the activities that fill your life. Just take a couple moments to just list them down. What are all of the different types of things that you do? Don't try to censor them out. Just list as much as you can. The things that you do, the things that you're involved in, the things that take up your time, and the things that you try to spend time doing. In no particular order or importance, just however they pop into your head. And we'll maybe take one more minute with that. So you might not get everything, that's okay. You might run out of time. And I'm going to tweak the question a little bit. Think about the activities in your life that feed your faith. The activities that feed your faith. Some of them might already be on the list. If they're already on the list, you can put a star by them or a check or do whatever you want to do to identify that that's one of the things on your list that feeds your faith. But there may be some things to add to your list that aren't there now. If I say, what are some of the activities in your life that feed your faith? They can be things that we do here as a community at Tree of Life. They may be things that you do in other places, and that's fine too. All of the different things in your life that feed your faith. Actions, activities, things that are part of your life that feed your faith. So take that list, hold it in front of you, sit with it for a moment, and think about it through a slightly different lens. So I asked you about the activities that feed your faith. If you look at these activities, how does your faith feed the activities that you choose? You don't have to write anything about that. Just think about it. How does your faith feed the activities that you're choosing? I'd like to ask you to turn to somebody near you, groups of 2 or 3, no more than 3, no bigger than 3, but somebody near you. If you have to shuffle a little bit, that's okay. And just talk about some of the things that you noticed, and make sure that you each have a chance to share and talk with each other. So we'll take about 2 minutes per person, so 4 minutes altogether. Okay, that's our signal to kind of return back together and wrap up the conversation. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. If there is anything, now we obviously won't be able to hear from everybody, but if we could hear from a couple of people, things that came up in your conversation, some things that you'd just like to share with a larger community of things that you noticed, things that came up for you about the activities that feed your faith, as well as the way that your faith guides the activities that you choose. Anybody have anything they'd like to share individually or that came up in their conversation? And I have a mic so that we can hear you.
One thing that I noticed was when you asked the first question, just the activities you do, I didn't even think of things like load the dishwasher, or, you know, like, I only thought of like my extracurricular activities and things that, you know, that I choose to do outside of the slog of, you know, but all of those fed my faith, and my faith informed all of those things that I do, whether it's singing karaoke with friends or walking my dogs or whatever. And so it helped me realize that pretty much everything, like you were saying, can be a sacred activity. It's sort of an artificial distinction that we make between the sacred and the profane, I think. Even doing the dishes can be sacred, if, you know.
Anyone else have something that they'd like to share? It can be similar or different.
Okay, I have two cats. I feed them, I brush them, I clean their box, and I take care of them permanently.
And is that something, that relationship with the cats and taking care of them, does that feed your faith? Yeah, there you go, yeah.
Years ago, I started a book club, and there's a lot of ladies there, and a number of them are widows, but they are all of different religious or faith beliefs and practices. And I think through, I guess, listening to their perspectives when they talk about their books, it has allowed me to become more tolerant and understanding, particularly during the last few years of political turmoil. And I think it's just broadened my understanding and my faith to be more aware of where they're coming from.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Sometimes we think, or there can be a tendency when faith is talked about or spirituality is talked about, particularly in our culture, for it to be thought of as this very individual thing rather than something that's part of our relationships in our community. So thanks for lifting that up. We are going to set this conversation aside for a little bit, and we're going to come back to it. So I wanted to make sure I turned off the mic before I set it down on the wood. Again, that what we do makes a difference. And we have to decide what kind of difference we want to make. When I asked about activities, some folks were still going when I called time. Our lives can become very, very busy. Part of choosing about the difference that we want to make is thinking about what we hold on to and what we let go of, what we say yes to and what we say no to. And so part of what we do is a recognition of that sacred choice of letting go is this annual ceremony known as fire communion. And so not the paper that I handed out, not these big lists, but we have this special paper that's called flash paper. I got the pleasure of driving to Bob James' Magic Shop in Lombard, and this is a special paper that when you put it in flame, it disappears instantly. So take one and pass it on. We'll get some more this way as well. Take one and pass it on. And when you have your paper, or as you're waiting for your paper, you can think about something that you might want or need to let go of. It might be something negative in your life that you're just finding yourself hanging on to, and are just really struggling to let it go. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. Maybe you have a child who's going off to college, and there's that sense of having to let go a little bit and think about letting them have some of their space for who they're becoming. So broaden it to think about things that you may need to let go of. It could be memories, things that happened this past year that just keeps sitting with me and it keeps sitting with me and I just have to let it go. Something that's just eating up too much of your time that you have to let go. But pick one. Pick one. I know. And that's why it's a small piece of paper. And you have to narrow this down. So to recap for folks, you have your flash paper, you're writing something on it to let go. The ceremony is that we're going to let it go by putting that flash paper into the flame and watching it disappear. Now, you may find yourself, and it's fun. I mean, if you haven't done it before, it's fun to just watch that go and go away. And sometimes we have to keep reminding ourselves of that this is not an end point, it's a beginning. In terms of just the logistics, we'll ask folks to go out the back and come around through here. Alan is going to help be mission control and help people step forward one at a time. I keep stepping away from the mic, I'm sorry. You'll hand me the flash paper. I will put it in this lit chalice. We'll watch it go away, and then you can return to your seat. But now, if there's anybody that walk going out back and coming around feels long, we want to give folks who just need a shorter walk or would like a shorter walk an opportunity to just come forward and be first. Or else, if you'd like to hand your flash paper to somebody else, okay? So, again, all life is sacred. Every choice and act we make is sacred. And even the act of letting go is sacred. Our tech crew will start our music. We'll start with the folks who want to step forward, and then other folks can go around back. I forgot to mention, for the folks who are online, if you would like to write yours down, we will also light some flash paper for you as well.
back that I gave to Dave to put in the fire. All of those came from our online participants and from our tech participants. That was their representation of letting go.
Take a moment to center your body, to take deep breaths, and if it helps, to close your eyes as we consider what we want to hold on to, that what we value and what we cherish is a choice. As a community, we choose a value of love. That love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, some of the shared values we hold as a community are justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. As you think back on the past year, what are some of the ways that you've experienced and lived out those values? How have you lived out justice, equity, transformation? How have you lived out pluralism, interdependence, generosity? How have you lived out love? Picture a few memories in your mind of ways that you lived out those values. It doesn't have to be all of them, but choose a couple memories maybe one or two of the values? How will you hold on to these and build upon them in the year ahead? Set an intention where you picture yourself living into these values going forward. Think about one way, one action that you will choose to live one of these values. And make a commitment, a promise, an internal covenant between yourself and your spirit, your conscience, to bring this value to life and to being. Sit with that choice and with that intention for a moment or two, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. We're going to continue to consider faith exploration. And there's 3 questions that we're going to reflect on and consider. The Reverend Connie Goodbread and the religious educator Jess Hunt say this about faith exploration and faith development. They say everything we do is faith development. All that we teach, all the things that we teach, is Unitarian Universalism. Our congregation is the curriculum. The wider community is our classroom. Everything we do is faith development. Everything we teach is Unitarian Universalism. Our congregation, our church, our community is the curriculum, and the wider community is your classroom. We'll answer these questions kind of popcorn style. We'll take a couple minutes with each of these 3 questions. And the first one is, what does a vibrant faith community look like to you? How would you describe it? What does a vibrant faith community do? How do you know it when you see it? Again, what does a vibrant faith community look like? Who would like to speak to that? And it doesn't have to be perfect, just any thoughts that you might have in your head or in your heart that you'd be willing to share with all of us. Anybody?
The vibrant community does things. They don't just sit there and think about them, they do things.
Nice. That faith is an action.
For me, a vibrant community is, within love, a community that continues to explore what is meaningful, what is life-affirming, and what carries us forward.
Nice. One more, if anybody has one?
For me, it's a community that recognizes that we all experience and get fed in different ways. And so there's lots of different ways to have a spiritual life.
That is the perfect segue to the next reflection question, which is, what is it that you long for in your own faith exploration? What is it that you long for in your own faith exploration as an individual? Or what is it that you long for in shared faith exploration with other people? What is it you long for?
making a difference, I think.
I think what I long for is genuine connections with people who give me new ideas and help me be a better person.
Making a difference, connections with others. Oh.
This is additive. More time in nature.
Yes. Last question, and this one's very specific to our community and to our faith exploration team. What's it important for our faith exploration team? And could I ask the folks that are here today that are part of the faith exploration team just to take a moment to stand out? I know Heather's one, but she's not the only one. Thank you. Thank you. And not everybody's here today, but the reason I wanted to do that is to know that the questions that I'm asking actually were ones that were suggested by the faith exploration team, and that I tweaked a little bit, but the faith exploration team has been thinking about these things, and want to take some of what we're sharing and think about how we can work on some of these things together. So what's important for our faith exploration team and for our community as a whole? What's important for us to know about your individual faith exploration and your faith development? What do we need to know about you and your faith exploration and your faith development? Oh, sorry, Ted, I didn't see your hand over there. You were in my blind spot.
My faith needs expression. It needs to have movement. It needs to be reaching out and touching and interacting.
Other? Any other? No.
A big thing about my faith expression is it's musical. What feeds my soul spiritually is music.
Thanks. Any others? Maybe one more if somebody's willing.
A big part of my faith exploration is cultivating the ability to listen well.
Nice, thank you. We can keep this conversation going in less formal ways. There's things that came up but you didn't say out loud, or they're just kind of brewing. Like, I tend to be a person that if I was sitting in the chair and I was hearing these questions for the first time, I could answer them 2 days from now. You know, right? Like, I just need that time to chew on things a little bit. So let's keep this conversation going with each other, with members of our faith exploration team. But thank you so much for the things that you shared. It's a reminder, again, that the choices we make do make a difference, that everything we do is faith development, that all we teach is Unitarian Universalism, that our community, our congregation is the curriculum, and the wider community is our classroom. We will close with our closing hymn is The Fire of Commitment, 1028, led by our woodwinds. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing 1028, Fire of Commitment.